Hello. If this is our first meeting together, I would like to tell you a few things about myself, and then I would like to ask you a question. So, my life changed a little more than 3 years ago, dramatically. Some could say it was an awakening. Others would say it was the worst thing that could happen to a person. And before I tell you what happened, let me tell you a little bit about where I came from when this event and experience took over my life. So I had been a very satisfied, happy psychotherapist for more than 30 years. I loved connecting with people in that very, very deep way. Somehow, when I talked with people about their innermost sensitivities, suffering, traumas, and reached out that helping hand through insight and trauma techniques. Just like A Course in Miracles says, we were both healed as we shared that moment of what A Course in Miracles would call a holy encounter. Without jargon, it would mean just a connection that bypassed the usual one-to-one experience. And that connection is what we all long for, whether it's through receiving praise, making a love connection with family, a partner, or an object like music or cars or food. We're looking for that which the connection gives us, I believe. I feel like that is what we have in common with one another. For reasons I won't go into, though I enjoyed my experience as a psychotherapist, at around 71, I had gradually let go of taking new clients and resolved to be in retirement. And we shared, my husband and I, a house in Florida and in the winter, and a house in Seattle in the summer. And I had a wonderful grandson in Philadelphia and a mother who had stayed with us for a few years, teaching me much about what death is and what death is not. And I may get back to that story later. But I promised to fill in what happened to me a little over 3 years ago. My younger daughter had not been feeling well. She was 39 and had been having her own transformational experience where her level of trust in life was so profound that she, in a way, became my teacher. We bypassed all the judgment that had been happening between us over the years over her weight issues. And I may talk about that in another segment because it's extremely important only to the personality and the person I had thought myself to be. This is an ancestral issue between mothers and daughters for probably four generations, if not more. But let's stick with what happened. She had not been feeling well, and I had been checking in with her my trust was so extreme that I never second guessed whether she should get medical treatment. Nobody thought it was serious. She believed she didn't have the flu. And then one day in January, we were on vacation about as far from the state of Washington as we could be in Florida. And I couldn't reach her. And pretty soon I got a message from her boss and good friend that he couldn't reach her. And I gave him permission to break into her house because I knew something was dreadfully wrong when I got this message from him. Fast forward, police called me and said, rigor mortis has set in. There's no way we can revive her. I'm sorry. He probably said a few other things, or maybe he prefaced it with some more information, but that's all I heard. I don't quite know how to describe how the world stopped. It stood still. Melissa was 39 years old. It was totally unexpected. The next weeks and months were a kind of indescribable pain. I can't even say that I was going through stages of grief because I wasn't even present enough, even though I was a psychotherapist, very experienced in stages of grief. My awareness, even the observing ego, was gone. I was barely getting through the days. It was quite a bit like brain surgery, which I had had, just one step in front of the other in recovery. Not a lot of brain power to observe or comment. Nights were the worst. I couldn't stop what seemed untrue to be true, or what was true to be untrue. There was a dismantling of whatever I had known to be true. I was a mother, I was a psychotherapist, and there was my daughter. And she was an attorney, or she was a life coach. These, in my mind, were facts, even though I had been a Course in Miracles student and teacher since the late 80s. In 1995, I learned about the non-dual from Ramesh Balsekar, a gifted guru in India who had a lineage that was quite famous and familiar to most of you, but I won't get into that. The reason I was there was with a group of psychotherapists. We were attracted to somebody who was very good with the Western mind. And my friends, who were also psychotherapists, had decided to study with him. So I was aware of all the ideas in A Course in Miracles, which were still concepts to me. The fundamental truth of A Course in Miracles coincides with non-duality. Non-duality says you're not a person. You're what quantum physics says you are. You're a collection of energy. You're not a separate being. You're nothing, meaning not a personal identity, but you're everything. You are all the power of the universe in your own bundle, relating to other bundles. But when my daughter passed, all of that was not available to me. Nights, as I said, were the hardest because dreams were no help, except often we would both wake up, my husband and I, almost like we were screaming, could it still be true? Are we waking up to, she's gone? But wait, there's more. I don't know if it was weeks or if it was months that I was suffering. And this happened, what I'm about to tell you, a number of times before I could even grasp hold that something important was happening and kind of wake up with it. I was shaken, and it was not an internal shaking nervousness inside. My experience is that I was shaken from the outside. It's not important whether I was or I wasn't, or what could have been shaking me, or who. That is inconsequential to what happened next. What happened next, after maybe the third or fourth time it happened, being shaken was the happening. I acknowledged, I saw, I woke up to something that's very hard to explain. In that instant, the suffering was gone because I noticed I was actually, in this second, I was all right. I still remembered Melissa's no longer here, but it didn't hurt. I wasn't doing a spiritual bypass. I wasn't dissociated. A second before, I was hurting. I wasn't numb. In that millisecond, I opened to a new experience. And I'm going to take you on that experience, that kind of experience right now. So if you would, think of something that annoyed you, that upset you. It could be big, it could be small. Hopefully something recent. And let's give that person that's on the end of your tug of war, or that object you're fighting with, something in your life. It could even be as small as a jar that wouldn't open. But you're struggling with the way something is in your life. It could be work, it could be personal, it could be your body, it could be life, it could be death. Better if it's specific. The more specific, the better. Now give it a number between 0 and 10. 10 being the most upsetting. And now if you would join me in a short kind of meditation experience. We're going to park that upset inside your head, where you believe yourself to be, or where you used to believe yourself to be. And let's fill our head with light and energy. The light could be clear, the light could be violet, the light could be any color you desire. And fill the front and the back of your head with this light energy. And fill your neck and your jaw and your neck and your jaw with the light and the filling of the water that your body is made of. Let it flow. Let the water flow through your chest and out your arms, and feel your fingers tingling and tingling with light energy and water, and maybe move your fingers around. And for the sake of brevity, let's just come back inside your body, outside your arms, and back into the center of your body, and go down and down and down through your feet, into the floor, into the ground that is holding you up. Feel your toes either with the carpet or the floor or the cement. Make contact with it. And let's go down through the dwelling that you're in, whether it's an office or a house, and go down into the earth, Mother Earth that's been here longer than you. And let the earth hold your feet up, and then come out into the air of the room that you're in. And let's push out from the room that you're in, out into the air of the outside your dwelling. And feel the air around you, feel the space around you. And notice and know that there is something that is aware of behind you, above you, in front of you, below you. And yet there's you noticing yourself out in the air. And then you look up and you see perhaps a blue sky, or you see clouds covering the sky. And let's move out together beyond the sky into the galaxies and the sun and the moon, and envelop it all. And maybe now you would notice, because there's always a knower, a noticing of your experience while you're out here. Maybe it's neutral. Maybe you can't even remember what it was that upset you. And for the sake of brevity again, let's come back into your bodies, even if you feel that reluctance. And as you're coming back inside your body, notice if there had been a boundary before I asked you to come back to your body. Notice that there might not have been an edge. And we'll do more of this kind of meditation and spend more time in it in the weeks to come. And I hope that you'll return so that we can deepen our relationship with each other. And just for now, come back to that upsetting moment, that upsetting experience, that small or big upset that you stuffed inside your head, where you thought there used to be a you, even if you still think that's you. We're going to put some doubt about it, and in the weeks and the months and hopefully the years to come, we're going to have a relationship with that self where you know yourself to be not the experience of the upset, not the one experiencing it, not even the local witness, but maybe that holding space, maybe that is what you are, that holding space that was beyond a body. The Sanskrit word neti neti refers to I'm not this, I'm not that. And in A Course in Miracles, it tells us over and over in the beginning lessons, we're not our perceptions. And then we learn we're not our body. We are still what God created. And in this kind of way, I'm not going to always call it God, because many of us think of God as the greater and us the lesser. And that's a separation. I'm going to refer to it in your experience as the knower of the known. And when we come right outside, observing the thing that upset us, there is a local awareness. And that local awareness, because it's so close to the personality or the imagined self, it has still opinions. It has opinions of, oh, you're doing that again, or you judged again, or as A Course in Miracles would say, it's an attack thought. Non-duality does not give as much credence to the thoughts, because as we all have experienced, thoughts come and go. But both A Course in Miracles and non-duality speak of the one mind with a capital M, where there is no separation between what is known and the knower, what God is and what you are, in Course in Miracles terms. And so let's go back just for the few seconds that remain and look at that thing or person or upset, and notice if the number has changed at all. And maybe, just maybe, it has less believability, less importance, less meaning. And let's make an agreement that during this next week, perhaps we'll notice a contraction or an upset, but let's do an experiment together and not label it, not call it anything. Important to not do a Passover. We're not going to be disengaged. We're going to be more embodied. But let's see next time if there's a difference between labeling, which brings us into a story, and not labeling, which is just about observation. And until next time, when we can get to know one another more, I bless you and know that I am blessed by our connection. Bye-bye and thank you. This is Rosalind Rourke. Bye-bye.